Right now, as you're watching this, 2,867 people are sleeping on Atlanta's streets tonight. That number just jumped 7% from last year, and it's not slowing down. We're talking about a crisis so severe that people are literally being crushed to death during city cleanup operations. This isn't some distant problem you can ignore anymore. This is Atlanta's homeless apocalypse, and it's happening right now. Let's talk about the statistics that will blow your mind. The 2024 point-in-time count revealed something absolutely shocking about who's really suffering on Atlanta's streets. Black people make up just 47% of Atlanta's population, but they represent 86% of the homeless. That's not a coincidence. That's a system designed to fail specific communities. And here's the kicker. That percentage actually increased by 3 points from the previous year. The displacement is accelerating. But wait, it gets worse. These aren't just people who lost their jobs and fell through the cracks. A growing number of Atlanta's homeless population are actually employed. We're talking about warehouse workers, food service employees, hospitality staff earning between $12 and $20 an hour. These people work full-time jobs and still can't afford a roof over their heads in the city they serve. Raphael Holloway from the Gateway Center has witnessed this firsthand. He's seeing more working people experiencing homelessness for the very first time. People who never imagined they'd be sleeping in their cars after a full day's work. The hidden homeless crisis is even more devastating than what you see on the streets. For every person you spot holding a cardboard sign, there are countless others invisible to the official counts. College students living in their cars because they can't afford Atlanta rent, families bouncing between extended stay motels at $400 a week, people couch surfing indefinitely, one argument away from the sidewalk. The city's own housing advocates admit that traditional counts miss the hidden homeless completely, meaning the real numbers could be double or triple what they're reporting. Here's where things get absolutely insane. In 2012, you could rent a decent one-bedroom apartment in Atlanta for $799 a month. Fast forward to 2022, and that same apartment now costs $1,710, a more than double increase in just 10 years while wages barely budged. But that's not even the full story. Between September 2018 and September 2023, home prices in Metro Atlanta exploded by 65%. The Federal Reserve Bank literally declared Atlanta homes unaffordable for the average buyer in 2022. We're talking about a median home price of $350,000 in a city where the median household income is only $73,000. The math doesn't work, and that's by design. Corporate investors have turned Atlanta into their personal playground. In the third quarter of 2021 alone, over 40% of single-family homes were snatched up by corporate buyers. These aren't families looking for homes. These are Wall Street firms treating Atlanta real estate like stock portfolios. Mayor Andre Dickens tried to propose regulations to limit this corporate takeover, but the damage was already done. Entire neighborhoods got priced out overnight. The Beltline project became the perfect example of what urban scholars call green gentrification. What started as a trail of roughly 35 kilometers to connect communities turned into a displacement machine. The project promised 5,600 affordable units along the trail, but only about a third actually materialized. Meanwhile, property values near the Beltline skyrocketed, and property tax bills exploded. Even the project's original creator, Ryan Gravel, resigned in protest over how it was destroying the very communities it claimed to help. Neighborhoods like Old Fourth Ward tell the complete story. In 2000, it was 76% black with a median household income of $19,614. By 2015, the black population had shrunk to under 50% while the median income more than doubled. The people who built these communities got pushed out so wealthy newcomers could enjoy the authentic Atlanta experience without the actual Atlanta residents. The gentrification isn't slowing down either. Areas like Adair Park, Capitol View, and Sylvan Hills are experiencing the hottest real estate speculation in the city. Homes that families lived in for generations are being flipped for hundreds of thousands above asking price. The average home price in Adair Park hit $240,000, pricing out everyone who actually grew up there. This isn't development, it's displacement with a ribbon on top. January 16, 2025. That's a date Atlanta will never forget, and neither should you. Cornelius Taylor, a 49-year-old man, was sleeping in his tent near the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church when city crews arrived for what they called a cleanup operation. They were preparing the area for Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebrations, trying to sanitize the view around the church where Dr. King once preached about justice and dignity for all people. The irony would be sickening if it weren't so tragic. What happened next exposes the absolute brutality of how Atlanta treats its most vulnerable residents. City workers gave people living in the encampment just 4 minutes to grab their belongings. 4 minutes to pack up everything you own in the world. Will Johnson, who witnessed the entire horrific scene, described how officials basically said, "You got 4 minutes to get everything you want to take with you." No warning beforehand, no time to wake up properly, just an ultimatum delivered by people operating construction equipment weighing about 4.5 metric tons. Cornelius Taylor never got those 4 minutes. He was crushed to death inside his tent by a front loader, a massive piece of machinery that the city deployed like they were demolishing condemned buildings instead of people's homes. The city initially tried to claim Taylor died of an overdose, but his family's attorneys revealed that the medical examiner's autopsy showed he died from major injuries caused by heavy machinery. They literally tried to cover up the fact that they killed a man with a bulldozer. This wasn't an accident or a tragic mistake. This is standard operating procedure for Atlanta's approach to homelessness. Every few months, police and public works crews conduct these sweeps across the city. They show up with loaders, dumpsters, and zero regard for human dignity. Tents get scooped up like garbage, personal belongings disappear forever, and people lose everything, including crucial items like medications, identification documents, and the few warm clothes they own. Denise Wade, who works within Town Collaborative Ministries and was once homeless herself, described the devastating cycle perfectly. They ask the people to move on, and usually they take their stuff and they trash it. When your whole livelihood and everything you have is taken out from under you, and you have to scramble and figure out where to go, it makes it really hard for them. These sweeps happen regularly under bridges, in downtown areas, anywhere the homeless become too visible for the city's comfort. After Taylor's death sparked massive outrage, the city implemented a 45-day moratorium on using heavy equipment during sweeps. But by May 2025, they were right back at it. The first major clearing after the moratorium happened on Pryor Street under the interstate, and it was business as usual, bulldozers rolling through, people sitting with suitcases watching their community get destroyed, and city officials claiming it was all about health and safety. The only thing that changed was they now had a task force rubber stamping the same brutal tactics that killed Cornelius Taylor. Here's what most people don't understand about being homeless in Atlanta. It's not just about not having a place to live. The moment you end up on the streets, you become a criminal in the eyes of the law. Georgia passed legislation in 2023 that mandates local governments enforce ordinances prohibiting unauthorized public camping and sleeping on sidewalks. Translation: being homeless is now officially illegal. Think about how insane this is. If you lose your job, can't make rent, and end up sleeping in your car or under a bridge, you're not just unfortunate, you're breaking the law. Police can arrest you for the crime of existing without proper housing. They can arrest you for washing your face in a public bathroom, for sitting too long at a bus stop, for trying to find a quiet place to sleep when the shelters are full or unsafe. The regulations sound neutral on paper, but they're designed specifically to target people who have nowhere else to go. No sleeping in public spaces. No loitering. No temporary structures. Every basic survival activity becomes grounds for arrest. And once you get that criminal record, good luck ever finding legitimate housing or employment again. It's a trap designed to keep people cycling through the streets and the jail system indefinitely. Atlanta's HOPE team, the Homeless Outreach Proactive Enforcement Unit, conducts regular patrols specifically targeting areas where homeless people gather. The name is deliberately misleading. This isn't about hope or help, it's about enforcement and removal. They work hand in hand with the sweeps, making sure people understand that their presence is unwelcome and illegal. The psychological trauma of constant criminalization is devastating. Every time someone experiencing homelessness gets moved along, arrested, or has their camp destroyed, they lose whatever small sense of security they've managed to build. They stop trusting anyone in uniform, anyone claiming to offer help, anyone representing official authority. The system teaches them that they're not just unwanted, they're criminal for the circumstances they're trapped in. Here's the ultimate cruel irony. The same week Cornelius Taylor was crushed to death during a homeless sweep, Atlanta was celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day just blocks away. Dr. King, who fought his entire life against systems that criminalized poverty and dehumanized the vulnerable, would have been horrified to see his city literally crushing poor people with machinery while celebrating his legacy. The disconnect between Atlanta's image and its actions toward the homeless represents everything wrong with how America treats its most vulnerable citizens. You want to know how broken Atlanta's approach to homelessness really is? Let me tell you about their brilliant solution that backfired spectacularly. In 2023, Mayor Andre Dickens announced his revolutionary, rapid housing project with great fanfare. The city planned to transform 40 shipping containers into housing units near Atlanta City Hall. Innovative, cost-effective, flexible, they said. What they actually created was a dystopian nightmare that even desperate homeless people rejected. These container units were so inadequate that residents who moved in voluntarily returned to living on the streets. Let that sink in. The housing was so awful that sleeping under a bridge felt preferable. The CEO of Partners for Home eventually admitted the failure. People do not want to live in dorm-style setups with shared bathrooms and kitchens. These containers were never homes. They were human storage boxes ready to be rolled out of sight whenever the city needed to polish its image. Meanwhile, the city scraped together $90 million for the controversial Cop City training facility, $90 million for a militarized police center while allocating just $4.6 million across all departments for homeless services. That is a 20-to-1 ratio that screams where Atlanta's priorities lie: funding force, not solutions. The Beltline affordable housing promise became another cruel joke. The original tax funding deal required 5,600 affordable units along the trail. Barely one-third ever materialized, and even those use the federal affordable definition pegged to area median income, which includes wealthy suburbs. Result: affordable rents that remain wildly out of reach for the people who need them most. Ryan Gravel, the visionary behind the Beltline, grew so disgusted with what his project had become that he resigned in protest. His dream of connecting communities morphed into a gentrification engine bulldozing the very neighborhoods it was meant to uplift. Atlanta's task forces are a masterclass in performative politics. After Cornelius Taylor's death, officials created the 2025 Task Force on Homelessness Response with 36 organizations and plenty of press. They met for 90 days, issued recommendations, and effectively rubber-stamped the same brutal sweeps that killed Taylor. By May 2025, encampments were being cleared again. Identical tactics, just more paperwork to justify the cruelty. The shelter system is engineered to fail. Many sites allow only one-night stays, forcing people out each morning to re-enter a nightly lottery. Others ban anyone with mental health issues, addiction, or even pets. Conform to a narrow definition of deserving, or stay on the streets where the city can criminalize your existence. Behind every statistic is a human life. Veterans, 8% of Atlanta's homeless, serve their country only to find no room for them unless they can pay market rents. Families are the most heartbreaking. The 2025 count showed a 14% jump in homeless families, many stuck in emergency shelters offering neither stability nor privacy. Children try to do homework in cars behind gas stations or in extended stay motels that cost more per month than most apartments. College students form a growing slice of Atlanta's hidden homeless. Even working multiple jobs, they cannot meet sky-high rents, so they sleep in campus parking lots, surf couches until friendships fray, or drop out because survival precedes education. Upward mobility through schooling collapses when you cannot secure basic shelter. The mental health crisis on the streets is staggering, yet Atlanta offers virtually no accessible care. People coping with trauma, depression, or schizophrenia need treatment. Instead they get arrests and sweeps, as if untreated illness were criminality rather than a public health emergency. According to homeless deaths count, at least 20 Americans die every day while homeless. In Atlanta, that means deaths from cold snaps, untreated medical conditions, violence in unsafe sleeping spots, and the relentless stress of survival. Unless a bulldozer is involved, these tragedies rarely make headlines. Finally, the working homeless endure a special torment. Imagine finishing 8 hours at a warehouse, then having nowhere to shower, store clean clothes, or rest before the next shift. Employers shun applicants without permanent addresses, but housing is impossible without steady work, a classic catch-22 trapping people in jobs that pay too little to escape homelessness while criminalizing them for the very circumstances those wages create.